resource and it involves HR plus equipment. They no longer call it HR, you know, because it used to be called HR. Eh?
Because they use
HR is only focusing on human and skills. This one is also focusing on equipments. You plan for equipments and you also plan for human. It's a resource. Resource can be equipment, can be people. Yes, that's why they call it resource management. There's also processes. The thing is for us to go through the processes that are involved in you producing HR, or we call it resource management plan. Okay. For you to draw up a resource management plan, please, you must make sure that you go through the there are six, you can see processes. Bye-bye. There are 6 processes involved, and we'll go deeper into each of the processes. But the first one is where you plan for resource management plan, you know, resource management. And this process is the process of defining where you do estimation, how you're going to acquire. It's just the how. I think in every knowledge area that we've dealt with, we start with planning. I think you remember. It's planning. And all these planning documents are gone where we send them to the project plan documents. They are integrated there. So this resource project management plan will go to the main project management plan document under integration when you integrate. So it will be produced, but it will be integrated with the other project management documents. And all the project management plans are on how it will be done. It just answers the word how. So this resource management plan is answering how you are going to estimate, to acquire, to manage, to utilize physical and team resources. Physical resources, we know it's equipment that you can touch, or people, how you can acquire people, with what skills, which people work on this activity. Are we looking for electricians? What level of competence do we need? You know, it's all those things. So it will be talked about on the planning. So once you plan for resource management, I'll go into inputs and techniques later on. The next, second process under resource management is estimates. You have to estimate all the activity resources. Activity resources meaning you have to estimate how many people you need per activity, or how many equipments do you need, what type of equipment, how much will it cost, you know, you just estimate. So the process of estimating team resources and the type and quantities of material, equipment and supplies necessary to perform project work. That's number 2. Okay, remember that when we come to estimating activity resources, we use the resource management plan document as the input, because it's an output in the previous process. It's going to be the input that you're going to use for you to process this activity resource. You need it. Then once the activity resource has been estimated or has been estimated, you go into acquiring now. You estimate now, you need to bring the people in. You already estimated how many people we need for digging the trench, how many people we need for painting, how many work here. You already have a good number, okay, per your plan. Then now you have to acquire after estimation. Acquire is now you either recruit, you do the interviews and stuff. So under acquiring resources is the process of obtaining the team members or the facilities, the equipment, materials, suppliers, and all other resources that are necessary to complete the project, because you've planned for them. After you've planned for them, you estimated how many and what type or what kind. What type of people, what skills level, what equipment do we need, with what, amount of power, whatever, if it's using electricity, you have to estimate. And later on, you have to acquire. You start ordering, if it's equipment, or buying. If it's people, you start doing what? Recruitment. So once you acquire resources, the next thing is you have to develop. You bring the people in. There are times where you acquire people, but they have less skills, but you still can see potential in them. So as a project manager, there's what we call knowledge development. You start developing them as they are working on the project. You develop them. When they go through training, induction, Mostly when you join a company, they do induction. Even on a project, they'll say this is a totally different project. Maybe you worked with these people from another project. You have to induct them into this new project, how it's gonna work, what, give them a training, developing them before they even start working. Okay. When they start working, you have now to manage, because it's easy for someone to go off track. If you're not managing them, it's during execution where we manage and check, oh, that person is loafing, oh, that person is idling around. Those things, call them, why today you didn't work hard, today you didn't push, all those. You are managing them and giving them guidance. So we'll talk about management and see how a project manager can manage team members. Sometimes it can be after conflicts, you observe they are quarreling or there's personal issues. I don't like this person, I can't greet this one. So you observe that there's issues between team members. So I think as a project manager, you need to have a skill of resolving the issues and how you,
Will it also not be in a state of where you will look at your team members and some people will do better in certain things and other people will do less better in that. So you use your people who are doing much better in certain activities and put let's say
combine.
Some you will put under them kind of.
Yeah, that is knowledge transfer or skills transfer. But we don't tell them we are doing that to transfer knowledge. Indirectly, you know what you're doing. Just say today, Mr. So you're not working in this team. Tomorrow I want you to work with this group here. You won't ask why. No, I just want you to guide them there. You won't know that you're taking the knowledge or you've already taught the other to learn from him because he knows better. That's on management as well. And then we do what we call performance appraisals. When you are managing the team, you do performance appraisals. Where you see somebody is just lagging behind, you need to arrange a P or a performance appraisal, key performance indicators. Call them to the office and talk to them. If you developed, or how do you think we can help you? Maybe upskill or learn more, interact with team members. That is under management. So it's not only solving for problems, but give them feedback on the work performance. And then, if it means they have to be rewarded, it's at management, at that process level, where you give them rewards. Oh, you worked very well. Keep it up. You know what? You're going to get a bonus of this, but don't share. They usually do those things where they tell you.
Keep all of you and say don't share.
I tell you.
And then at the end of the year, they don't.
No, they can't promise you. If he says it's going to give you a bonus, he must give you a bonus. They know why, unless they are just liars. But for you to cover yourself, just tell him to sign or write something. Not black and white.
Because bonus is not compulsory.
It's not for everyone. They reward people that have worked very hard. And for sure, you can't be biased.
You can do someone else's job and someone else's job and someone else's job. They filed the whole section except one person. Now that person has to do everyone else's job for the same exact salary.
But
that's the problem that my mom's sitting now with.
No, I agree with you.
No one else is there and they've all left.
Why they fired them?
Because
personal issues. You are learning to have good traits as a project manager. I don't think that's nice to just fire people for no reason. Those are bad traits. As a project manager, you need to be in between, You shouldn't favor other people. You just have to be acting neutral. I know it's not easy, but many project managers are acting in favor of others due to personal issues. Maybe you find that person, she thinks she's educated. She thinks she knows more than me, especially that part of education. You find the team members, they're educated more than you. You're just a project manager through experience, no paper. You understand? The other one is PhD in project management, and then is under you. You're already intimidated, and in the end, it creates that friction. Makes you start treating them like...
Yeah, but you shouldn't see it like that.
That's what we are saying. But they don't do it that way.
Because if the one is, let's say for argument's sake, you have a person that learned from a book and the other one that's learning
through experience.
You can accommodate by finding the balance for you two. And you can work together.
But it's difficult. I was once in that situation.
Where you were intimidated?
No, I was not intimidated. I was actually working with the engineer. But the experience that I got was
more than him.
Was more than her.
So how was the treatment? How was the treatment?
You see,
if it's a her, then it's a
It's worse.
Like, you see, the problem was, I never had a problem. You see, like what you were saying, like I used to work as a site manager. Tell me.
Something quickly. After you manage the team, we were busy saying how you can resolve issues and also doing the performance appraisals where you can reward or do punishment. If they are wrong, you do penalties and all those things. Then you control the resources, the process of ensuring that the physical resources assigned and allocated to the project are available as planned. Okay, as well as monitoring the planned versus the actual on the resources, as performing corrective action is necessary. It's just to see that are the people working as we planned? Is this task having the same number of people we planned? Or maybe they are not working, that's when we reshuffle, you know, we can do reshuffling and maybe adding more resources. Remember about that crashing we talked about? Yeah, you can add more resources to the activity if you want to fast track the project. So they have given this in form of a table. At least PMBOK has summarized this for you to say, well, for you to produce a project management plan, you first have to go through this process plan, which is plan resource management, and which has got inputs. You can't produce the document here before you understand what is the supportive tool to use or input to use for you to draw up this document. So we need a project charter. We know a project charter is the first paper you produce. And then you do a management plan, you use it, project management plan, project documents, any other documents, enterprise environmental factors. We've talked about these. Most of them are inputs, you can see. Why enterprise environmental factors are inputs? Because we go to internet for anything. Every time you Google on internet, you need to know where we are standing. How is the economic status? What are the publications? That is enterprise. Yes. Oh.
What's the status of?
Yeah, are they using metric or are they using imperial? You know, we must know all that. So you go to internet. Internet will have a lot of things, and the government policies and procedures and documents, you use them on internet. Even on how much you charge people, because where you plan for resource management, that's where we come into now labor relations, the way it's saying we must know all those documents for labor. It's on internet. We call that enterprise environmental factors. Yeah. What's the rate per person when he's working on this project? How do you charge these wages? And, you know, also sorts of things that are found on the internet. Then organization process asset will depend on the company you're working for, what documents or templates they're using. And then if there's a question under resource management and they ask for inputs, you know, any questions that you come across with, whether PMI or in my theory questions, they'll ask about processes, inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. So you just have to get used to the names. Which one is input? Which one is output? You can't use input as output. Then there's tools and techniques. You can't use inputs as tools and techniques, but inputs can be outputs, because you can have an output here, it will be input on the other side. Correct, yeah. But it can't be input and then tools and techniques. Tools, it's just the skill, the techniques are the skills you're using or you're applying as a project manager. Mostly it goes with your experience. If you're experienced, you can draw up this project resource plan fast, because you've done it so many times. If you are very new, then you have to go to now past history, expert judgment, and then most of the people are also using what? Yeah, any other history data that is saved on the computers. Organization theory and the meetings. Why meetings? They're saying they are important because that's where you interact with other people. What kind of a person do you think we can put here? Because it's very crucial. What qualification? It's under meetings where you discuss. So those are the techniques. So meeting cannot be input, it's a technique. Organization theory also is technique, and data representation where we do it on the data or Excel spreadsheet or anything they use there. So once this is done, you have applied your tools and the techniques. What you're going to produce out is the resource management plan, which is a document which will act like a resource baseline. You know, you are basing all the things you are going to do based on that page or on that document. Then team charter. Team charter is now talking about which people are involved. Group teams, you know. You are going to have each activity with a group team or resource breakdown structure. Sometimes they call it a resource breakdown structure. It's an output here. Why? Because we say, okay, how many people are we having in this project? There are 150. Then we start breaking down. Okay, 4 people work here. We start breaking them down. 7 people will go here. 10 people here. Okay, after that, you break them down until each one is allocated. They put them on a resource breakdown structure. Also on a resource chart. A resource chart is just like where you put, it's the same document anyway, like a resource breakdown structure. Then project document updates. Why do we update the documents? Because there will be changes that have been made that you need to go and now update any other document that was planned initially before you even did this. So that is the time you go and update to put the changes that you have just done. And then this is process number 1. Then we said once you plan for management of resource, you need to estimate how many do we need. Yes, if you want to know how many you need the input. What is your input? Can you see project management plan? Why they go to project management plan? Because already it's got the number, how many people they planned to use, then they have got the machinery planned, everything. That document has every information.
So do you take the project management plan from the first process and
Yes.
copy it into the
Yes,
second process?
from the first process then into. No, this project management plan is not this one.
No, I mean the input
It's the integration, the one that was done under integration. Remember when you're doing...
is the first one.
Yes, that's the first one. That's where we take information from.
But we are going to there. We're not going to copy that.
You-
Otherwise, your files are just going to be this.
It will be big, yes. There will be changes that will occur here. That's why we go back to revisit the project management plan from the input side to go and update or change. But the project management plan, in many processes, it's the input. Why? Because it's the second document created after the project charter. We know that. When you create your project charter, on the process 5 process groups, the second one is planning. Initiate planning. Under initiating, you do a charter. A charter is a brief spec, just authorizing you to run the project. But on a charter, there is also information of stakeholders, all those things, and estimates. Most of the things that are on a charter are not real figures. Most of them are estimations. But we work with these estimations to do a real project management plan. And that project management plan is now going to integrate with whatever this one that you produce here. That's why they say it integrates all the plans. And they can run at the same time. While this is being produced, the planning is taking place. Then they take this, they put it on the main project management plan. If the project management plan is already been prepared, then you take information here to go and do the resource planning. Because what was there, maybe it was not final. So you have to integrate. All right. Yes. After that, you have to also use the inputs to estimate now. You use this one. Then you use your project documents, enterprise again, and organization. All these will always be inputs. Once this is done, you have to apply your tools and techniques. And these tools and techniques are expert judgment. Ask people that have run projects before. And then it's bottom-up estimation. We all know what is bottom-up estimation. What is it?
Work from the bottom.
You estimate from the bottom of the, then you go up. So you need to estimate how many people do we have at the bottom here? There are 10. Okay, how many do we have in this group? 20. Then you go until you get the total number up here. It's the same as working against the resource breakdown structure, but not coming down, but going up. But in the end, the total number there should add up. All these working in small activities there. Okay. Then you can also estimate using analogous estimation, which is what?
History.
History, yes. Analogous is using the past history. Parametric estimation, what is it? It's not history, but it's using...
Isn't it the one that with a lot of dots?
No. Scatter.
No?
Scatter diagram, no. When we talk about parametric, we are talking about, there are those figures that are standard, based per unit cost. When you say they sell cement, every 50 kg is weighing so much. They use a certain figure. That's why they say it's a parametric. They use a certain number to estimate
It's not
cost per
the
something.
definite amount. They just give an estimation.
estimation, but per item. The cost per item, cost per item. Or you can say cost per person, how much each person will cost for us to pay. You know, it's a cost to the company. If you hire me with a master's, obviously I will deserve more money, with experience, obviously, so they know that rate of Christabel will be more than another person. But the rate will depend on the internet again, and the company, you know, the government website, the labor law, how much do they pay? You know, lecturers, teachers, they have got standard rates of pay.
Can you say that parametric is the same as to say the average?
No, not average. It's not average. It goes with a unit cost, let me just say.
Like a unit cost.
Unit cost of anything. Unit cost.
Change when like the currency and that changes.
It will change.
So how many times do you need to update?
You have to go to, that's why we are always revisiting the enterprise environmental factors to see what's the rate currently. And how much are they paying a lecturer, or how much are they paying a project manager? How much are they paying an electrician, whoever with maybe from school direct, and there are those with experience from 10 to something years. There are different rates. But you as a project manager, you need to be up to date. Why are we using these tools and techniques? Because there's no way you are going to estimate how much money you will pay your workers if you don't know this information. It's a technique. So we are not saying you can use all of them. It depends with the project you are dealing with at the moment. There are times you use all of them, and there are times it's not necessary. You just use expert judgment. Maybe you use parametric, done. Then the rest you don't choose. But for the sake of exam, you have to know that these are tools and techniques and what they are. All right. And then there's project management. Data analysis is where now you analyze the data, also from the website. Project management information system. You know this one, it's a software. They say every project manager must be competent in one or two softwares. You can either use Excel, others are using Excel, but there's many softwares that are coming on board whereby everything is done on the computer. So this project management software is a system that you can just feed. I've got so many people that have done electrical engineering. It's going to calculate for you how much it's going to cost you to
And it
pay.
keeps up to date with-
For sure, with a system, with government, yes, system.
But those things are expensive.
We know.
You have to charge as well.
Also,
That is why when they put all those things to maintain.
to maintain, to catch up with the website or the government, you know, even the economy itself, you need to know where the economy is sitting. You need to be up to date, especially the labor policy, the labor law, you have to know. As long as you're going to be a project manager. Otherwise, you're going to say, okay, I've put that, I'm going to pay this one, this. When you go to management, they'll refuse because they know. Management, most of them, they know the labor law. They know how much it can cost. So you can't exaggerate.
Then they take you to say,
Yes.
You need to follow processes.
Mhm.
See,
Grievances.
When you
Verbal warning, final warning, and all that, and all the processes that will follow. So when we come to managing, I think that's where it is done, on managing, when they are quarreling. So you'll be given scenarios also in many of the tests, like you're a project manager, you find that the team members have fought, and they have fought over this and that. What would you do? You know, so you have to know which process to follow, following the grievances and stuff. Mhm. All right, and meetings also will always be part of your tools and techniques. Then the output, once all this is done, you're going to produce resource requirements. Why they call it resource requirement? Because at that point, that's when you are estimating how many people, how much machines, how many machines do I need? Then yes, you need to have a document that says this is what we require. Output. And then basis of estimation, also where you base your estimation on. We did estimation based on this and this and this. It's a document that states how you did the estimation. Did you estimate based on bottom-up estimation? Did you estimate based on parametric? It's a document that you need to draw where you based your estimations on. Because remember, you're estimating. This is process called estimation. They are not actual, but you're estimating based on something. So there must be a
I'm
paper.
just thinking that you have done really your research in it, and you're asking how I've done it.
Yes,
But-
there must be a
But
document.
I've already done it, so there's the proof.
Which proof?
So your input
Yes.
of all your estimation.
Yes.
But now that
Output is now the paperwork printed.
oh,
Yes. It's now the paperwork. You are going to print resource requirements. It's a document called resource requirements, meaning that each activity with which type of people, with which skills.
I thought that is part of input.
No, it can't be input.
Is input like your research?
Yeah, input is things that will help you achieve your estimation.
Okay, so that's research.
Yes,
And then
research.
output is the physical.
Correct. Paperwork, printed and filed. So you can mention a resource. You see now it's resource work breakdown. They call it resource breakdown structure, where you break down your resources. Then project documents update. You always update the project documents. Why you always update project documents? Because what you are doing currently might not have appeared initially there. So whatever changes that will be appearing here must be reflected where? In your project planning and any other documents. Yeah, maybe assumption logs, what, you have to update. So that things are speaking to each other like that. And then there's a third one, which is acquire resources. When they ask you to acquire resources, number 3, after you do your estimation, based on the estimation and looking at whatever we've got here, we can now employ, or we can now recruit, we can now, do procurement of machines if we need machinery or material and all that. That is under acquiring of resources. The input to acquire resources, you can't manage to come up with the process of acquiring resources if you don't have information. And that information is the information coming out from the previous process, which is these processes mentioned. And also the main document, which will always be your input, is a project management plan. Project documents, the enterprise factors, and organization process assets. That's how you can also use any outputs from here to be inputs here. Because how can you acquire resources? You don't have a resource breakdown structure. You need to look at the resource breakdown structure because it's saying we need 10 electricians here. Here we need the mechanical engineers 5. Here we need those how many. So you need to know how many of each before you start acquiring for resources. All right. And then the tools and techniques that we need is decision making before you acquire. Why? Because you have to decide with other project managers exactly what type of people you want to employ. It's not only you alone, but you need to have good decision-making capabilities, where even if you are alone, you are deciding, but they are going to back you up, the other people. You don't just decide. You decide on something that you have proof on, you have experience on. You can say, for sure, here I need someone who has worked for 10 years, or who has worked for 2 years, but has got at least a certificate. No qualification, no. Because you are using your decision-making capabilities. Then you can also use your interpersonal and team skills. The interpersonal skills are those skills you develop each and every day as a project manager. So your skills might not be my skills, though we have learned in the same school. You can have more skills because you are more experienced. So use them. And the team skills is how you manage your teams. You can't acquire proper skills if you don't know how to manage them. You must make sure that you acquire skills that you'll be able to manage properly. Yeah. And then the pre-assignments is now when you start giving them work. While you're acquiring them, you want to give them assignments just to see if they can be capable of doing something. It's like they test you. Can you be able to paint at yes? Okay, I want you to paint this portion for. It's those pre-assignments just to test if people can really be competent in that specific activity. You use that technique also to acquire resources. I think you see people when going for interviews, are you able to draw an AutoCAD? Yes. Please, can you draw this drawing for me I'm giving you 30 minutes. It's just a pre-assignment before I can acquire you. Then you give them a test. All right, and then virtual teams where you can discuss online and do everything online. You can acquire team members via virtual meetings or online instead of just face-to-face. All right, so these are the tools in acquiring resources, tools and techniques. And then the outputs, once you do all these processes, is to give out physical resource assignments. Now, physically, you are assigning them. You have acquired them. Yes, they are here. So allocate them to where they belong. That is now physical resource requirements, what they need, project team assignments. Physical resource is now equipments. You assign equipments. This machine is for this is for that. When we come to team member assignments, is now where you start allocating them to different parts of the project. Because the project might be huge, but different phases, allocate them to those tasks. And resource calendar. You remember what a resource calendar is? Can somebody remind me? Me, I know. Can somebody tell us?
Resource calendar is like meaning when you want to hire something, when you will need it, so that you put it on your calendar. Let's say, for example, you will require a code reading machine for doing something. So on that date, when you reach that area, so that you don't waste money and hire it before the time comes. You see?
Correct.
And also people that you will require on site, you don't have to actually
Have
allocate
them
someone on
available.
site before time when they
Yes.
must do the job. So you need to wait the exact time.
Because they have got other duties. When we come to resource, let's say human resource calendar, is when you allocate people on specific dates when they are available. Because you might have other duties you are performing while the project is running. So when they need you is when you are going to appear on that. Maybe Mrs. Piri is needed from 9 to 20 July. The other dates she's busy. So you can't allocate me on other dates. Look at the calendar according to how it was planned. When we come to physical resource calendar, it's now the equipment, the way it's saying you can't just go and, hire a machine that you don't know whether it's there or not. You have to look at the calendar because it's been allocated.
And also the other problem that I've seen, guys, they will bring guys on site before time. And remember, you need to bring those guys sitting there.
The change request, any changes that will take place, you have to update your change request. All right. Project management plan updates. Obviously, we have to update the project management plan, project document updates, enterprise environmental factor updates, company documents. These are enterprise environmental factors. You have to update them. Maybe in the company documents, they don't have specific people with specific skills, but because you are running this project, it's a new project, it has enhanced you to bring new people with new skills. You need to update their company enterprise resource updates, because there are people now, we don't have electricians. When we look in there, now we have electricians. Update due to your project, because a project can bring new skills that have not existed in the company before.
It's like getting a client whereby they use Revit, they don't use
And
AutoCAD.
imagine, it's a
So
new
now
client.
you need to get a person who specializes with Revit and also the software.
It's a new resource. Very true. And lastly, organization process assets updates. That is, you have to update organization process assets. Anything that you might have documents that belong to the government, like the way he's talking of labor requirements. Many companies, especially HR, there's no you can go to HR office without those labor policies. They have a labor policy document. What are the stages they follow for grievances and blah, 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 It's a standard operating procedure, but it's to do with the government. So if there's any changes, yes, they're going to update, but within the company. Does not mean that they are updating for the entire country, no, for the company. Because yes, we have this document and the government gazette. Whatever we change, we update if there's any changes. Or whatever the government changes, we also update in our system, because we have a copy of organization process assets. So it's just to be always, alert if there's any changes. Like the way she said, exchange rate. You also have to know you're exporting tools or items to another country, or you're importing. Are you importing on ISO standards? Is it on imperial metric? It's all those things. And then you update all your documents. So when I meet you next week, we'll be finishing up. So we have just covered 3 steps, 3 processes. And for sure, this is a summary. If you go through the textbook, you go and see that they have explained in detail under each. Let me just go to this 9.1, plan resource management. They're explaining what it is. So read through the inputs, tools, techniques, outputs, and then they have broken down into this. You can see plan resource management, what tools you need, inputs, charter, project management, plan, documents, given out 2 documents, and that. So each of them, please have time to read through. This is plan resource management. Then they're explaining what's a charter and why we use a charter as input. You see, because the project charter provides high-level project description and requirements. It also has the key stakeholder lists and summary milestones and pre-approved financial resource that may influence the resource management of the project. That's why we need it. It's simple as that. Project management plan. Also, why do you need a project management plan? Because project management plan components include quality management plan and scope baseline. So under quality, it describes the quality of people you need. It will define, when we say quality, it's the skills of people you want. So the quality management plan helps to define the level of resources that will be required to achieve and maintain the defined level of quality and to achieve the metrics for the project. That's why you revisit. Then the scope. The scope baseline identifies the deliverables that drive the type and quantities of resources. Scope tells you that how many we need. So when you are doing the resource planning, visit the scope, because the scope, you can't exceed the number specified in the scope. Yes. And where do we get the scope? It's on the project plan document there. All right.
OMM manuals coming?
What's that?
Operating and maintenance manuals. Where do you put that in?
It's the company resource. Those resource.
It's not company. Let's say for organization, like these robots. So at the end of the project, the supplier will give you an operating and maintenance manual.
Yeah.
Where does that documentation?
It
fall
falls under, you saw the input enterprise, this one. Organization process asset, because you keep it as a company document. Yes, it is yours now. Yes. We can't say it's enterprise environmental factor. No, it's not for the government. It's yours now. It's a personal thing. Yes, for the company. All right, then I'll see you next week. And these assignments, please make sure you attend to them.